Hey, what's going on? Rosebud here from Psychic Therapy for the Soul, here with another dream. So this is a dream I had last night. There's a few different symbols in this dream, and it's kind of cool that that kind of happened because it's a short dream. So before we hit the dream, I'm gonna talk about last night. So last night, me and my friend actually went to a party, like a Polish all age party. I'm Polish, by the way. And there was lots of food, and there was a buffet, and there was dancing, and there was a lot of people. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because this event actually went into my dream last night. So the dream last night. So I don't remember too much. There was actually a lot more in the dream, but I only remembered the ending. So there's a few things in this dream. There is a celebrity actor, a completely different one. I've had a dream with him before, not in a romantic way, just in kind of like a nice, calming, relaxing, safe and secure way. So in this dream, I'm like being really independent. I'm walking into a party. Okay, so there's a big party. The environment is like filled with food. Okay, so there's more food in my dream. So it seems that my subconscious really desires to be fed. All right, really desires to be fed. Not necessarily just like food itself, but like nourishment of all kind, which is what the food represents. Quite an interesting continuation from the previous dream that you guys watched about the unwelcomed guest who were eating my food. So in this buffet, I remember now, because I couldn't remember the type of food that I was eating. So, you know, in Poland, our traditional food is pork, and we actually have a lot of sausage and ham and like all that stuff, and like kielbasas and things like this. I actually typically don't eat that now. I eat more plant-based, and I eat about 90% vegan. And sometimes I will eat meat and very rarely pork. But last night I kind of allowed myself to have a little bit of like kielbasa and all that stuff without really thinking about it, because it's like it stems from my root, and I've been healing my root chakra a lot, like where I come from, etc. So back to the dream. So there was a big buffet of food, okay, and there was ham specifically. I remember seeing we call it shinka in our language, in my language. And there was like ham and like a wrap of ham, and the type of ham, I'm just gonna look it up because I thought I couldn't remember the food, and now I remember the food because the type of food seems to matter. Okay, ham is our need for preservation is represented by cured meat. So it doesn't even matter if it was ham or whatever, it was like a preserved meat. So it represents our need for preservation, which I found really interesting because as I was enjoying the buffet food, this celebrity actor comes to me, and first of all, I'm incredibly awake in the dream. I'm always awake, and I feel like he is also awake, okay? That's my interpretation. I feel like he's also awake. However, he's like 20 years older than me in real life. This guy's like a Pisces. And no, we do not talk in real life. This is just me having another celebrity actor dream. So he said in the dream that he was like 55 years old. At least that was my thought process on him. And he was like trying to kiss me or something. And I was like, yeah, no, you're too old, which is what I said. You're too old. And he was like, oh, I know. So rejection doesn't exist in the book, but I read it on the phone here, that it's a need to establish boundaries and assert independence and process unresolved guilt and tension from waking life. So I felt that deeply, because if you've noticed all my videos, a lot has to do with independence. And then eating the ham in the dream was about preservation, and then rejecting this celebrity actor who's a lot older than me. And I actually consider him as a father figure because of the safety that I felt in an initial dream that I had with him. So there's this kind of archetype within me in which, or an identity with my father in which I'm having, that I'm rejecting, but also needing to preserve and set boundaries and assert my independence. So all of those kind of symbols and images came together to bring one meaning. Another part of the dream, which I found really interesting, was the gossip, or like the spiritual static that was happening around in the dream. So I went to bed last night, so I have telepathy, and sometimes I hear like noise in the consciousness, and I've learned to quiet that down. Like, I've learned to quiet the noise down. But sometimes after I leave like a big group or like a social event, it's like loud. And I remember going to sleep and thinking to myself, man, like, people gossip a lot. That was my thought. That could be a belief too, that's I'm healing from my root chakra. And in the dream, people were gossiping, okay? And I was like searching for information in the dream. Like, I was searching for something, okay? And there was a specific sentence that I woke up in the middle of the night and went to the bathroom, but I started to laugh in the middle of the night when I woke up, because in the dream, someone said that Rosalia only dates celebrity actors. Rosalia only dates celebrity actors. And that was like on repetition. Like, it was so funny that I literally laughed in the middle of the night last night as I'm like coming back into my bed after going to the bathroom, realizing that that was like the most significant, most hilarious part of the dream. And the reason I bring that up, not for the fact that it's funny, because that is a good reason to bring it up, but actor, like you guys noticed in one of my other dreams with my other actor dreams, it's a part of ourselves and our ego identity in which we are coming to terms with. And it also represents being responsible for our own lives, like creating control of our own lives, needing to be responsible for our own lives. So, interestingly enough, the two other celebrity actors that I had in my other dreams, I had like an intimate kind of connection with them that was, you know, romantic. While this one specifically, I just didn't feel it, and I actually rejected him because I had a different kind of energy that came from him. And he was a lot older too, and something internally just felt kind of off about that. And so I kind of referred that into my own life, because, you know, my father wasn't there when I was younger, and I have always been craving that kind of safety from a father, naturally, to feel safe. And I wasn't really led or taught by a masculine energy as I was growing up, that kind of conscious leadership in which involves protection. Like, I didn't have really that example, right? My mom kind of played both roles, but the feminine mother can only in an archetypal kind of way, can only play so much masculine energy to replace that kind of role. Father figure is just a completely different aspect. So I kind of had that feeling with this celebrity actor in my dream, like, you're like, to me, you're like a father figure, you know, like, that's how I see you. And I was establishing my boundaries then, projecting my independence, like my need for independence. and also letting go of a part of identity of myself, because an archetype figure is always an internal ego identity within in a dream. And because I was rejecting him, I was actually rejecting a part of myself inside, but more of like I'm letting go of that aspect in which maybe I have been needing for a very long time. And it could be possible that my soul is now ready to release it. And the reason I bring that up is because in real life, he's a Pisces, and we are in Saturn in Pisces right now, and it's going to go into Aries, and that's like an end of 27, 28 year cycle, and I'm 34. So for me, that's like a big, major part of my life that is essentially coming to an end, okay? So I found that really interesting. And another thing that I find interesting about that, I think I mentioned, okay, we were talking about the gossip. Yeah, Rosalia only dates celebrity actors. We were talking about the gossip. Let me take a look at the gossip. Where's the gossip at? To be gossiping in a dream can mean that one is spreading information, but in a way that is not necessarily appropriate. I didn't find that comment was inappropriate. Like, it didn't feel negative to me. It was just a distinction. To be in a group of people and listening to gossip generally means that we are looking for some kind of information, but perhaps do not have the ability to achieve it for ourselves. This I completely agree with. We have to use other people to enable us to achieve the correct level of information. So this can also represent a part of my personality in which prevents me from moving away from previous held ideas and behaviors. So I told you how I was healing the root chakra, and the root chakra is all about belief systems and where we come from, and the ideas that stem from deep core rooted beliefs, okay? Very traditional, very earthly rooted, right? And I went to bed thinking, oh, you know, Polish women gossip a lot, okay? And that was kind of like the dream that I had, the gossiping. So it kind of shows how I'm releasing that idea of myself. However, I actually believe the fact that, you know, Rosalia and myself only date celebrity actors, because I don't really date in real life, and like I haven't really dated in real life. And literally I have like a ton of relationships with these celebrity actors in my dream state. So I was just laughing so hard when I was woken up in the middle of the night, because like legitimately my whole dating life is in the dream realm. So that's kind of like the gift and the bittersweetness of being a psychic, and just being really in tune to our intuition. So I actually believe we're all psychics, by the way. I'm not like just making that claim like I'm psychic and other people are not. It's simply like what I do for a living, and I've become very much in tune with my intuition. So as a result, I make that claim that I'm psychic. But we're all psychics. It's just a muscle that you have to train, basically. So that's the subconscious, like the unconscious, subconscious meaning of those kind of images in my dreams. I also felt like that celebrity actor father figure just wanted to know what it felt like to kiss me. That was kind of the idea that I had when I rejected him. But it's like it's kind of like it just would have felt wrong, you know what I mean? Because it felt so connected to kind of like a father energy in which I needed to feel safe and secure. So that was the subconscious, the ham, the food, needing of nourishment, needing to be fed, needing preservation, setting healthy boundaries, projecting my very need for independence, and searching for information from the gossip in which I'm having trouble receiving. And this leads to the next part of my interpretation of that dream is, okay, I was very awake in the dream, very aware of how I was speaking to the celebrity actor, the father figure, and how I was getting the food and listening to the gossip. I was very aware that I was awake in a dream. And as I mentioned in the other video, how Carl Jung um, believes that, you know, dreams aren't just manifestations of our unconscious conscious, that we are actually at times traversing the spiritual plane and communicating with other soul beings, other beings. So my experience last night with that Pisces celebrity actor was that he was also aware. Okay, that's my feeling. Okay, whether he consciously is aware of that in real life or not, I feel like I legitimately had a communication and exchange with him in the dream state. Okay, and he had something to learn himself. Like I tuned in to some kind of aspect of his soul or higher self in which needed there to be an exchange or some kind of healing or letting go of identity. Or he just kind of showed up as a guide or like an imprint in my dream in order for me to complete a process or a lesson. Either way, I felt very aware when I woke up. So as a result, I was like, hey, I feel like I had this kind of soul communion, soul relationship exchange with this person in the dream state. So this is my, most likely what the gossip represented was me still looking for this unknown information in which I cannot confirm. Whether it's this or that, I still am not sure, because of how, I want to say, prophetic and how much they happen on repetition, these dreams. And another aspect that I want to mention is that, like, I don't really watch this guy's movies, so it's like, why would he come into my dreams out of nowhere when he wasn't even on my mind for a very long time? And these are kind of moments where I'm like, you know what I mean? Because there's no thoughts or like even remembering in the waking life that I watched this person's movies or whatever, a show or whatever. So that's another moment where you think, okay, that person's aware because they're entering your dreams, you know what I mean? And you're having this kind of like recollection from your unconscious that this person did exist somewhat in your reality. Another part to mention is that I have absolutely no connection to these celebrity actors. They just come into my dream state and I have a relationship with them, whether they're friends or romantic lovers or whatever. So that's that dream. I felt like I covered every base. I hope I wasn't all over. I felt like it was a little bit scattered personally because I was trying to catch on to every symbol there was. I don't think I missed anything. That's it. All right, thanks. On to the next one. Bye.